This is day 17 of learning to make animated movies. My name is Michael Lardizabal, and my goal this year is to become awesome at pre-production, production, and post-production using writing, art, 2D animation, and 3D stuff with Blender. Let's jump into the first thing, which is the thing you saw in the thumbnail. Crazy character concept I got. Let's look at it. Woo! Okay, so this is concept for my main character of my Kung Fu revenge fantasy story. Although right now he's looking more samurai, but it's all good. Kung Fu, samurai, I know they're different, but my world is a fantasy made-up world, so I can do whatever I want. But yeah, let's go ahead and do this. I'm gonna show you, we'll just do the little, this is the one that I just kind of tweaked a lunch. And this one is the one where I actually started it. So started off just kind of blocking out some ideas. I was thinking about doing a movie poster with multiple characters, but so far it's just kind of been this one. And yeah, I just tried multiple ways with the face, wasn't loving it. Because this is concept-y time, I just was, trusting myself to push and pull and erase and go back and forth and make something cool versus, trying to get it all correct. And so at this point, I was right here, I thought it was interesting to add the little extra thing of the sword that's gold. And I was trying to think, do I want to go with this bluish, pale blue, black and white. But right here, if you watch the eyebrows, oh yeah, hey, that's where I feel okay, it really came together. It's that I had to get that expression right. And then it was oh, now we're starting to get something pretty cool. And then, because it's a revenge story, gotta add some red in, gotta let people know, hey, this is some serious business. And yeah, so this continues on, added some more, did some red highlights and cool things everywhere. Also gave me a little bit of a vibe of Star Wars, the newer movies that came out with Kylo Ren and stuff. And they did such a good job with that blue against red. And I felt that was fun. I tried to do a little sword shine in there. And, just had lots of fun with texture and, all that stuff. My friend Andrew, he said that it would be really neat in my actual finished look for my animations if I incorporated some way of almost Into the Spider-Verse does their whole thing with comic style stuff, but I do have a background doing abstract painting, so I tend to really feel comfortable adding in all the textures and colors and layering and just doing things right here. It's oh, that's an abstract art piece. Oh, boom, by the way, Kung Fu revenge fantasy. So I do think it would be really neat to texture some of the stuff I do with painting, and because I am mixing 3D with 2D, that is very possible. So yeah, I'm really excited. I'm really proud of it. It makes me very happy. All right, the rest of the stuff, I don't have a bunch to show you, but I've got some stuff I can still show you. So this may not look like it, but this is a study from Mulan. So if before I was doing this, the next thing in the actual scene was her going to dip the pen in some ink and then write on her arm, which I didn't get to. This was hard. As you can tell, I said woof because woof. And it was also really fun though. Let's get my pointer out. Pointer. I started with the hand, and anywhere that you see multiple colors lining up, that's where I had some issues. So even first, this chunk of the chopsticks was where I started, but I got the angle totally wrong and where it sits with the fingers wrong, and so then I redid it with the pink. And then same thing here, I realized my thumb wasn't lining up, and so I was hey, this is what I did originally, this is what I did with pink. And I really like doing this because instead of worrying about, oh my gosh, I messed up, I want to see where I messed up, and then I want to adjust and then see oh, am I making the same mess ups over time? So I did that same thing over on Adventure Time right here, and yeah, you can see where I messed up and then how I redirected. And so I think that's a helpful, cool thing to see over time and see where I mess up and see how I can improve. One of my favorite things about this was carving out the little chunks in the wood. So there's a lot more detailing I could have done, but I ran out of time. I only spent 10 minutes on it. And it was neat to have the big shapes and then to do the little chunks of the wood coming out. And then it was neat to try and copy some of the writing, which was fun. Hand was definitely a challenge, but it's good practice. Got really bad TMJ, and last night was rough. So I'm gonna try and make the next part of this quick so I can stop talking. Comic-wise, I spent about 10 minutes on it, but I really just kind of edited and tweaked some stuff I already had, and that's all good. Okay, and last but not least, started on this course called Alive from P2 Design. It's all about animation in Blender. I was really attracted to the course because I liked the way the guys taught from just some YouTube videos. And then, yeah, he's just really kind of breaking down stuff really simply and doing it with little characters, but then also showing how to do it with more advanced stuff, and then humans. And then what really got me, because of doing my Kung Fu Revenge Fantasy, is the fact that he's got these ones on action animation, which is really cool, kind of showing how to break down poses and then set them up and do cool stuff with that. And then also to actually animate them. I think there's a good example here. There's just this awesome fluid movement, and he's got some cool squash and stretch and some cool effects and stuff. And so I really thought that was cool, and I want to do that. All right, yeah, this one right here. Like, so freaking cool. Totally aligns with the kind of stuff I want to do. Yeah, pretty freaking awesome. I only spent about 10 minutes on this as well, and I pretty much just watched the first lesson and got some recommendations, so I'll show you some stuff he recommended for the classes, or just like supplemental knowledge. Is the Animator Survival Kit, which is a classic. I already have this one, Drawn to Life, from this guy that was a big long-time Disney animator, and so I don't have that one, but I would like to get it. The Illusion of Life, I also don't have this, but I think that would be awesome to get. And then last but not least on this, he talked about this thing called Sync Sketch, which is essentially used for annotating stuff between teams, but it's also a really good animation breakdown tool, because you can import anything from 3D models to videos to whatever, and then draw over the top of it really quickly and easily. And I can already set this up and do this in Procreate or Procreate Dreams or Blender, Grease Pencil, or whatever. But just the ease of it, I think, is really interesting. So I definitely want to, I've got the free version, so I'm going to at least try it there. And then if I really like it, I will upgrade. But we'll see. I do want to do a lot of draw overs of animation, so kind of seems fitting. All right, lastly, creative approach and emotions. We'll just throw it all together so I can get this done with my jaw. Because of my active rest day that I did last time, which if you didn't see, you can check that out, I ended up with a finished YouTube video in the morning, and then I did my stuff after, which is the stuff that you then saw today, which this video I'm also making in the next morning. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Essentially what it comes down to is that I kept finding that editing the video at night was the thing that was making me start to feel a little bit too tired, because everything else with creative stuff, I can set a timer and just like accordion it to my day, but the video takes as long as the video takes. So I'm experimenting kind of by accident on doing the video first, editing it, scheduling it, getting it done, then do the creative stuff for the rest of the time of my day with whatever amount of time that I can actually fit in. And then when I'm done, I'm done. Like I just stop. I think that feels really good so far. So I'm gonna keep experimenting with it and see how it goes. Today was a weird day. I had my blood drawn, so my morning time is a little weird, but my goal is to finish this video, schedule it out, and then tonight be able to do some creative stuff, and then get back on a more normal schedule tomorrow morning. Oh yeah, as part of my active rest day, I did just a very little bit of all the stuff you saw, and then I watched Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon as just kind of, one, it's a great movie that I love from my childhood, but also I really wanted to see what inspiration I could pull from. And honestly, it was so good. Like I took a bunch of notes about things that I might possibly want to incorporate, or at least it excited me and I can use for inspiration later. But I love the wires, the clothes. I love the sound of the clothes flapping when fight happens, and like when they like hit arms and like dust flies up. And I think that's so cool, and that's such a common Kung Fu thing that I just gotta do some element of that. There's a lot of great ambiance of like sound, like birds chirping and singing. Also, there's like a assassin person that shoots like a flying dart, and this guy catches it with chopsticks, and that's so fun. I love like the look. There's older Kung Fu films than Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and those ones have like a very specific way they look, partly due to the technology of the time, and partly also just the aesthetic, but it's like a lot of film grain. There's like a beige-ish, the teal and the orange, like a lot of movies do, but not as saturated. it's more chill. And so I definitely want to collect some screenshots of different kung fu movies throughout the times and be able to do some of that color grading. Okay, and that really is it, because my mouth is done and I need to let it rest. So have a good day. Best of luck in your creative endeavors, and we'll see you in the next one.